UMass Sports Weekly.
Hello and welcome to the newest edition of UMass Sports Weekly, your source for UMass sports. I'm your host, Chris Corso, and I'm here to tell you that this is the week that UMass football returns to campus for the first time in 3 years for homecoming weekend. We can't wait to bring you this week's updates and the latest news on campus in UMass athletics. Did the UMass women's field hockey team make some improvements and get back on track this weekend at home? Find out which key player on the women's soccer team suffered an injury against Brown. And I was lucky enough to get an interview with CBS NFL sideline reporter and UMass alum Jenny Dell, and she has a special message for all you UMass students. Stay tuned for our thorough analysis and highlights. This is UMass Sports Weekly. Welcome back to UMass Sports Weekly. We're here to talk some UMass football, and I'm here with our football experts, and that's Joey Saade and Zander Manning. And we're very excited this week. Of course, UMass is back on campus, which is going to be great on Saturday, homecoming weekend. But first, we got to go over that terrifying game against Penn State out in University Park. And we were down 34-0 at halftime. We lose the game, and awful game for UMass. So, Zander, tell me about this game. What were the highlights, and how do you feel about the game as a whole?
I think the first half went really well for UMass. They were driving down the field, getting some good opportunities for the team. But at the same time, the offensive line still, for the fourth week in a row, they were struggling, and they couldn't give Frohnapple enough time to actually throw the ball and get to his receivers when he wanted to. And then the secondary sort of had a marginal game, but it wasn't the best game that they've ever had, but it was still not a bad game at the same time, though they did struggle a bit when Trey Dudley-Giles did go down for a bit.
Joey, tell us what made this loss so apparent. Zander kind of highlighted the positives, but we were down 34-0 at halftime, and Penn State rushed for 228 yards, which was the most for them this season. What made this struggle so apparent for UMass, Joe?
Yeah, Chris, I was going to talk about, first of all, UMass's horrible run defense, but after the first quarter, they're only down 6-0, and they have the ball on the Penn State 31-yard line on a 4th and 9 opportunity, and Frohnapple throws it away, and that's kind of when it all went downhill. They really had no shot after that. Like you mentioned, Penn State ran for 228 yards, 5 rushing touchdowns. Those were the first 5 touchdowns they scored from 3 different players. So UMass had no answer to any of the running backs. They had no answer on the ground. And let's look at UMass's offense for a second. They had 3 total rushing yards on 26 attempts. 3 net yards throughout the whole game.
That's embarrassing.
Yeah. How do you expect to even get close in the game if you only run for 3 yards? That sets off, obviously, your running game is going nowhere. That sets off your passing game, which has absolutely no success. We're going to talk about Frohnapple in a little bit. But UMass had no chance, after the first quarter. They kind of lost it after that 4th and 9 missed opportunity. And like I said last year, if they wanted a shot to be in this game, they had to keep it close early. They were down 34-0 at half. Again, mentally, physically, by then they just want to get out of Penn State and get back here. So by halftime, it was over.
Agreed, Joe. Now
Another thing that I want to say is, in the beginning of the first quarter, it kind of looked a bit like the BC game. Like we had a fighting chance against a really tough team once again, but once again the defense just completely fell apart. Like you said, the rush defense, they couldn't stop them, and that's a huge part of Penn State's game. So if you can't stop that, then you can't stop the team.
Well, the running game was certainly a force for Penn State, and our defense did not look good rushing-wise. But we're going to talk about our struggles on offense, how the rushing game was awful, as you said, Joe. But we're going to go over to the passing game. And Frohnapple threw for 269 yards. He looked decent at times, but he's not stable down there. Definitely in the shotgun and definitely under center for UMass. So are we considering anyone else a quarterback, Joe?
Kind of starting off, I think we got to give this guy one more chance. I know they're 0-4, and we talked last week how they could have been 2-1 heading into this game against Penn State, and they played one of the tougher non-conference schedules in all of college football if you look at the teams they played. So obviously 0-4 doesn't show for it. They could be 2-2. If we're talking about the Penn State game specifically, before that game, we knew they had no chance of winning that game. They're going against Penn State in Penn State. We weren't really expecting any players of the team to play well. You hope that front up would show some signs of improvement. He was 17 for 33 for 286 yards, but a lot of those yards came in garbage time when the game was already over. So we can't really judge his performance on that. Obviously, by the first half, it was over. He didn't do enough in the passing game. The rushing, like we talked about, the rushing game didn't help him. If you don't have any rushing game, the passing game is not going to follow through. So I still think let's see how he does against the MAC opponents. Now they're in conference play. Let's see what he does here. He's playing at home for the first time. Like we said, he's a transfer from Marshall. He's going to be playing here at Amherst for the first time. He's going to be pumped up to play in front of this crowd. I say we give him one more shot before we talk about it.
Well, Zander, tell us how you feel about front office performance and if we have any other options at quarterback.
I think at the same time, I get what Joey's saying, that he needs another chance during this week, but I honestly don't think he's the quarterback. He's not performing up to expectations. And at times, yes, it's not his fault. The offensive line has been struggling and they're not giving him enough protection. But at the same time, when he does have that protection, he overdoes it and he throws it straight over the receivers' heads. I mean, it's almost like he doesn't know how to play quarterback sometimes. And if we do want to turn to anyone, I would turn to Ross Comas. He's a freshman from West Virginia. He had over 9,000 total yards in his high school career, threw over 120 touchdown passes, and this guy had an unbelievable senior season. 2,037 yards, 35 touchdowns as a senior. That's not college I'm talking about. I'm talking about high school here, and I think this guy's got a shot. Maybe we turn to two quarterbacks, maybe work them in Front Apple first half, Comas second half, sort of try them out. But right now I say give him a slight chance, but if we lose by any more than 6 on Saturday, then I don't think he's the quarterback at all.
Well, Zander, we definitely know about the Blake Lucas situation in the Vanderbilt game, and that's the kicker for UMass. He missed the 22-yard field goal to tie the game, and he received a hug from the defensive end from Vanderbilt.
That was pretty
So
all right.
he was not kicking field goals against Penn State. Instead, we had Matthew Wiley kicking the field goals, and Lucas handled the kickoffs. How do you feel about the situation at kicker? Because at the end of the game, this is what it comes down to, making that big kick. Who do you think is going to be our kicker?
I think right now you got to give it to Matthew Wiley because Blake Lucas does have a history of missing big kicks like last year. But at the same time, the offense still hasn't been giving him too many chances to get big kicks or to make those field goals. So I'd say the same situation as the quarterback. Either give him another chance, and if he misses 1, 2, then I don't know if he's the choice. And Matthew Wiley came pretty close against Penn State to hitting that field goal. And Blake Lucas did have some good results on doing kickoffs.
Well, now what we're excited about talking about is UMass coming back to McGurk for the first time since my freshman year, which has not been fun for me the past couple of years, I gotta say, guys.
Yeah.
But now they're back, finally back on campus, not at Gillette. They're already 0-2 at Gillette this season. They have not had a great past at Gillette, as we all know, the past 2 years. So now we go back and we're playing against Bowling Green, a MAC opponent. No more SEC opponents for us. No more Big Ten opponents right now. We're taking on Bowling Green. What is our chance for homecoming, Joe? We got the tailgate going on before the game. Everyone's excited. What's our chances this weekend?
I think, first of all, this is a must-win game. I mean,
No question about that at all.
Especially for Mark Whipple. They're 0-4. The new era with Mark Whipple, we've seen improvement so far. You can tell that he's obviously doing a better job than Charlie Molar did the last 2 years, and that there's no question about that. I give him a chance. Bowling Green, you're looking at that team. They're 2-2 right now. They're coming off their own blowout loss to Wisconsin. They are averaging 41 points a game, so they know how to score. And we saw UMass's defense haven't been playing too well. But we have seen, before the Penn State game, the UMass offense has been putting up points. They were averaging 25 points in their first 3 games. And, they're coming home. They're playing against this home crowd. Like we said, we haven't seen it since our freshman year. So obviously our senior class is going to be amped. These incoming freshmen, they're going to be amped to see this home game. Let's see if they can ride off this momentum. They haven't been in McGurk Stadium since 2011, like you topped it off with the show. Again, Bowling Green, MAC opponent. Let's see what they got.
Now we got a freshman here in the studio, Zander. What do you think our chances are at home this week?
Well, I think I saw the game against Bowling Green. I was watching it as I was helping out with the radio this weekend, and they did not play that too well against Wisconsin, another Big Ten team. But I don't know if that's really going to say too much because it's still a tough, debatable game. We're going to win it or not, but I think we have a good chance at either winning or pulling it really close to this one again. playing in the conference for the first time, and at the same time coming home with that immense pride that the school has. I've been hearing the game's already sold out from some people, and the tailgate's going to be insane. So I think they have a good shot because of the spirit and all the pressure that's on their shoulders that they're going to be feeling all throughout practice this week.
All right, awesome, guys. So we're all excited. They're back. We'll all be there covering the game and watching as fans. But we'll be right back with UMass field hockey. But first, I got the chance to interview Jenny Dell last night, who works for CBS on the sidelines for NFL games. And she used to go to UMass, and she's got a little special message for all you UMass fans out there. CBS Football's sideline reporter and former UMass alum Jenny Dell returned to Amherst Friday to tell her story.
While I was here, I double majored. I was in the business school. So I did hospitality and tourism management, and then I also did BDIC, where you create your own major.
After 4 years at UMass and an internship at UMass Athletics, Dell landed a production assistant internship at ESPN that paved the way for her career.
From there, I got internship at ESPN. I worked there for 4 years. That led me to Nesson for 2 years, and now I'm with CBS doing NFL.
Dell actually got her first on-air audition at ESPN after her potential was recognized by ESPN's fantasy football expert Matthew Berry.
So I go into this audition, and I'm standing there like, I have no idea what I'm about to do, but I had fun with it, and I was just myself. And they said, you know what, we see something in you. So I started doing work for ESPN.com.
4 years of covering all of the major sports on camera for ESPN.com led Dell to a job as a sideline reporter for the Boston Red Sox.
So the first season was tough. You're adjusting to a new job. You're thrown into this situation where it's a high-profile position in a sports city. They know their stuff. You better not mess up. There's a lot of pressure. It's a lot of stress. But you have to have fun with it.
In her second season covering the Red Sox for Nesson, the team won the World Series following the tragic Boston Marathon bombings.
Hurt by this tragedy, and then to see it all come together and see the Red Sox kind of take that on their back and win this one for the city of Boston was something that I will never forget, and it was so special. While Jenny Dell now enjoys her time covering the NFL for CBS, she surely never forgets her time spent here at UMass. It's good to be back on UMass campus. It's, anytime you can go back to a place you're familiar, it's always nice to head home, go to your old stomping ground. I was able to bring my college roommates and my fiance to show them UMass the first time, so it's been a great trip so far.
Dell will be covering the Dolphins-Raiders game in London for CBS, but she had some words for UMass Amherst students as the football team returns to McGurk this weekend for the first time in 3 years.
When I was here, I was actually a cheerleader. So I cheered for the football team. We would do everything in our power to get fans in the stands. So I hope that everyone watching this will go out, support your team. It helps so much to have that crowd behind you.
Seriously.
So it'll be great.
And we know we're all looking forward to that tailgate this weekend for sure, because it's been a while since they've been back on campus.
Nothing like that.
But thank you so much for your time, and we really appreciate it, and it's good to see you back on campus.
Happy to be back. Thank you.